Africa's creative economy is emerging as one of the continent's most prolific sectors. The industry is now worth an estimated $59 billion, according to a recent report by management consulting firm Boston Consulting Group. This represents less than 3% of the global creative market, but it is projected to grow further. However, experts say lasting success depends on more than talent alone. To explore the potential of Africa's creative economy, I spoke with Nigerian singer-songwriter Darey at Alade and his wife and business partner Deola at Alade. Together, they run Life Sports 360, a creative and entertainment company based in Nigeria. First off, Darey, I'll start with you. You are into music, and I remember some of the greatest hits that you gave us back in the day, including Style Na Style, The Way You Are, Pray For Me, which is still my favorite. Why did you transition away from music? This is me assuming you've transitioned, but correct me if I'm wrong, please.
No. You're right on the money. I think that over time, it just became evident that I needed to spend more time on the various platforms and pipelines and projects that we were working on, giving other people an opportunity, giving them a voice, giving them a platform to express themselves. So yeah, I've gone full circle in many ways, from going in front of the camera to behind the camera.
I have to ask you this. Is that where the money is?
Obviously, you have not made music money before. So.
Obviously, I haven't.
You haven't. Money is everywhere. Money is relative, but it's not really because of the money. Music was always been passion. So whether it made money or it didn't, I made music regardless. But it's more about fulfillment. And I'm quite fulfilled helping others achieve their dreams.
Talking about creating a pathway for others.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Deola, you've worked closely with creatives over the years, including as Darey's manager and business partner. Now, how do you balance creative ambition with commercial reality, especially when making major business decisions?
Interesting. I think that's like 10 questions in one. So for me, when we look at the creative side and the commercial bit of things, I don't see them as enemies. I see commerce as one of the tools that allows creativity to survive.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Okay.
So people feel that commercial bit of things dilutes the creativity. But in my experience, the opposite can be true. You understand? When done properly, you have a structure. And that structure, the commercial bit gives the creativity the resource. And then that discipline to reach what it needs.
Now, I say this because sometimes we see managers of artists or even record labels as a whole emphasizing the commercial viability of an art or an artist in this case, whereby emphases are heavily placed on how is this person marketable? Will this person generate revenues for the record label? Will they make money? Versus the creativity and the talent that is embedded in this person. So is there a conflict between those two?
Okay, so let me go to the talent. Me as a business person and someone that I move with sense, I don't believe anything is not marketable.
Right.
You understand? There's nobody that doesn't have an audience. And I know I posted something on my Instagram page a few months ago where I said when you launch a business venture, you put out an idea and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. So I don't believe that there's any talent that doesn't have a pathway or is not marketable. A lot of people get into this thing because it's their brother or it's their best friend and they become managers. They don't have the foundational structure to even push. Then it becomes the artist is not marketable. That perception, I honestly don't believe in it. When they said there is not the girl, that it will never, I remember Obiasika then, this is going to work. People like the jumping songs. And guess what? That video was shot several times because I knew the audience we were targeting. And guess what? Not the Girl became one of the biggest hits. It had never been done in Nigeria. So for me, that proved that everybody has a market.
Now, Darey, there's a growing push for African artists to own more of their work and their narratives. But in practical terms, what does ownership really mean and how possible is it in today's music world?
It's a great question because that's like one of the big conversations that we should be having right now. As you know, for the longest time, African creatives and of course more recently, creatives have contributed largely to the global pop culture, whether it's music, fashion, even food and various experiences. For the longest time, we haven't really owned any of those platforms, whether it's IP, data, distribution, or any commercial structure at all to actually capture value. And I think it's time for that to change. So ownership for me is not just saying, oh, this thing, I own it, or this thing belongs to me. It's really about long-term value. It's about us telling our stories and controlling the narrative. You get. It's about making sure that when we're talking African music, film, comedy, live experiences, and all that as they travel globally, African creators and African companies, indigenous companies, they mustn't be left behind when it comes to the economics of it. You understand? We can't continue to just be face or fad or trend, but real ownership. So that's why we've been very intentional about building our own, our own platforms, whether it's live sports, whether it's entertainment week, and all that. So really, African creativity is already shaping global culture. So what we need to do now, the next step, is to make sure that Africans own more of the value that's being created.
Right. Now, Deola, Darey has spoken about the infrastructure, the technical bits, issues with distribution and all of that. But I'm asking, where do you think the African creative ecosystem is still most fragile? And what do you think needs to urgently change to make it more sustainable?
I would say the biggest gap right now, I would say it's fragmentation. So there's the talent, but no funding, right? We have the ideas, but we don't have the execution support. We have the stories, but we don't have, not always the distribution. Even legal, even as little as the business structure. So people are creating, but many creating without the system that help them scale. So for me, that's gap.
It's a gap.
You've built all of this ecosystem in over a decade now. You've been doing this. Now, what's the biggest challenge people underestimate when trying to build a sustainable creative business in Africa, not just in Nigeria, but in other parts of the continent?
People mistake the popularity
for
actual success. Yeah. I think people overlook they are blown. 80% of businesses die within the first 5 years. So one of the major things is that people underestimate structure. In life, what I get paid the salary, Darey gets the salary. I can't even touch the coffers of the company. Do you understand? So that structure, I think, is one of the major things. And then that exaggerated self-importance that I have arrived, but you haven't. Yeah. It's the algorithm just making you look a certain way, but in reality, you're not.
And I could hear Darey laughing in the background, like he totally agrees with you. Darey, you have something to say?
Yes, now
friends and follows, and it doesn't equate.
So popularity and access only gives you that access. You have gotten into the room. If you make a fool of yourself, it's not going to open that door for you again. A lot of people are visible, but they're truly not relevant, and that's the truth.
Looking ahead in few words now, both of you, what does this next decade look like if Africa moves from exporting talent to owning more of the value and intellectual property? I'll start with you, Darey.
The next decade needs to be filled with intentional steps taken. So whether it's in infrastructure or in building, distribution, or again, like I said in the beginning, it's ownership. The more of the pipeline or the various touch points within the value chain that we own, then the more established will our future be, more solid.
Let me chime in. And even with the age of AI right now, the truth is that IP and infrastructure will win in the next few years. Because if you used to have a great idea, you were great with ideation, and that was your USP, right? That was your unique selling point. Guess what? Great ideation is a dime a dozen now, because anybody can use AI to get the best ideas. You'll get to a point where your movies are looking very similar and your music is sounding similar. AI right now, AI music, some of the top biggest hits in the last 6 months are AI, right?
Very
but for
scary.
me, I think that the people...
It's
Very scary.
So
Very
IP
scary.
and infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure does not have to be only buildings, but also the digital tech infrastructure would also, I think, be a winner.
Many thanks to Darey and Deola at Alade, founders of Live Sports 360, a creative and entertainment company based in Nigeria. And that's it on Focus on Africa. Today, we would like to hear from you and stories you want us to cover in your community. Please send a WhatsApp message on +254 791 269 243 or drop us an email on focusonafrica@bbc.co.uk. You can also leave us a message on socials using the handle @BBC Africa or my handle @IamNkechi, and that's with double N. Today's episode was produced by Kiganse Shumba in the warm city of Nairobi, Ayuba Ilia and Blessing Aderogba put in efforts from Lagos. Bella Twine was the senior journalist in charge, and David Kenyan Dewey, the technical producer. Our editors are Charles Gitonga and Mariam Abdallah. I'm Nkechi Obunna, and I'll speak to you again soon.